Are you building in Ghana? You can't find trustworthy people to build it for you? Tilly E Honest Pro Artisans will build it for you. Are you looking for masons, carpenters, tilers, plumbers, walk-in closet builders, kitchen cabinet, CCTV, civil engineers, architects? Look no further. Tilly E Honest Pro will build your dream house for you.
Good morning. You teach your Bibia, Yaminko Bibia from Nketwaso, Kusi Akesiaso, Yamincho Bibia. We are tropical cables made in Ghana. Tropical cables. We know who you are, my brother, my sister. And yeah, there was an aquatic cable for where a fire resistance. And to be friend fireproof. A fire resistance. Nature says in case simple say electrical fault, let's say the itcha, so bibi muna nke shufia acquire fire resistance in tino as our socket and our gadgets be crampo nya ade e betumi asoja mpashe no let us say you stay safe we no ya tete so what as ye promotion so.
You going back home, you were doing the opposite of what everyone was trying to do. Even people that live in Ghana that are rich, bringing your children here for school. Now you're doing that because you want to, build them up over there. So that's opposite.
It's the opposite. Okay,
so that I cancel that. What about healthcare and all that? Were you thinking about that?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I think it's a myth to believe that there isn't good care and good health care in Ghana. In Canada, we have a free healthcare system, supposedly. It's free. It is free practically, but it's actually tiered. Just like how in the States and in Canada as well, you have zip codes. Well, why the heck do we have zip codes? Why do we have zip codes? When you go to school, you can't go to school. I remember I used to go to school. People that lived in New York, maybe they know my high school is called Lafayette, and there's another school in Brooklyn close to me that was called Lincoln High, and Lincoln High had a pool. And Lafayette didn't have a pool. So I wanted to go to Lincoln High so that I can learn how to swim. Well, guess what? I couldn't go to Lincoln High because of my postal code, like my zip code. So the healthcare system in Canada, let me put it this way. Your zip code, your health is impacted. Like, for example, hospitals are not built the same. A hospital in a rich neighborhood is not the same as a hospital in project.
Oh, so it's like the schools in here.
It's like people don't pay attention. People don't pay attention. It's just like the school system. The school is free, but you don't have access. I know of one of my colleagues at work, a white girl, pure white. She lived in a particular area in Toronto, and they had a public school, okay, in that area, free, paid by the taxpayers, which is meant for gifted kids. They went to school for only half of the day. Gifted athletes. Mm-hmm. And the other half of the day was not books. So they only studied books for half of the day. And the other half, they had the best coaches, the best, name it, coaching them in every sport you can think of. Do you think they have the same in the projects?
No, sometimes not even the project, just like a line. a line
in the middle class.
Just a line in the middle.
It's a
Let's
line.
step. The school is
You're done. You staying over there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the same thing. And if you think about it, in Ghana, if it's also tiered by income or by money. There isn't any care you cannot get here. I remember watching former President Kufuor years ago. He had a surgery at, I think, Kwalebu or 37, one of those two hospitals. And he had a surgery. And somebody, was interviewing. President Kufuor is elderly. He's not young, right? So, and this was a serious surgery. And he had it at Kwalebu. Yeah, now that I'm remembering, I think it was Kwalebu. And somebody was interviewing him and he was asking, say, President Kufuor, why would you,
Stay
in Ghana for exactly for your surgery. And he said because there are competent surgeons in Ghana.
Yep.
And the difference is that he can pay for it versus maybe somebody who may not be able to pay for it. But it's the same in the West. They just call it zip code.
Yeah. All right. So if I'm hearing right, if you have the money,
yes, it's excellent care. I remember there's a particular pharmacy close. Well, it's a bit close to us, and every time I've gone there for something related to my kids, only one medication, the first medication they will give me, works every time. Every time. Like little things, my kids were getting like some kind of rashes or whatever, and I was putting ointments on it and wasn't going, not knowing that they were allergic to something. Of course, I'm not a medical person, so I wasn't thinking about that. Well, we went to this pharmacy, and right away we took her there. They observed her, the pharmacist, and saw right away that it was an allergic reaction. They gave us medication. Boom, it's gone. Every time. I sent out an eye thing, the same thing.
Okay, so now you're breaking all the things, right? School, boom. Healthcare, boom. So we shouldn't be scared anymore, right?
No.
All right, so now let's say, okay, you made all your research, realize that all these things are being, let's say, under hype or whatever when it comes to Ghana, right? So now we are in Ghana. Take us through. What happened?
When we came? When we came to Ghana, the excitement, remember, this has been our dream. We've been planning it 6 months into it. We used to, before we even started planning your we used to talk about it. That 2020 time when we were watching all the Maya Word, my husband and I would talk about it. It would be nice to be home and just make an impact and just be with our people and whatnot. So I think when we first came and being in our own home when we came, we knew that there was no mortgage on this house. I wouldn't even have cared if it was like a 1-bedroom. So long as it's ours and we didn't have a mortgage, I think we would have been so happy. So we were just overjoyed the first few months. I mean, I remember just taking walks, in the neighborhood just to feel like the air, like I'm in Africa. Oh my God, I made it. I made it back and I'm not 60 something years old. And yeah, so we came, and then when we got ready, one of the things that my husband, I love farming. I grew up where I grew up. My grandparents, everybody farmed. So and I garden everywhere I went, even in abroad. I used to use my basement for plants. So I love farming, and my husband loves, anything animal raising. He loves it. So one of the things we really were passionate about is to build a poultry farm. Was what one of but we gave ourselves room, and I should say this. When you're planning while you're at the West, things will change when you get on the ground. You have to be prepared for that. Yeah. Just because we wanted to do a poultry farm, if when we came and sort of did, our kind of feasibility studies or whatever you want to call it, if that wasn't feasible, we have to be willing to change the plan, right?
Adapt to whatever is going on.
Exactly, because you're planning from somewhere and then you're now on the grounds. You have to prepare that things might not be as you thought they were, right?
Resilience.
So yeah, so that was what we wanted to do. Our goal, and I think it will change as time goes on. We're starting with a poultry farm now. We know that we're going to build industries. That's what we want to do. We want, Mr. Befi, we want to break something. We want when you see a Black person, you don't tag them with poverty. Like, it breaks my heart. I'm done with that. I'm not going to let somebody look at me based on my skin color and assume that I'm poor. Yeah. I want to help change that. I want to, sorry, let me end this. It's my dad. I'll call him back. I want to help change that. I'm done with that. It's not true. We're not poor. Mr. Obedako always says that, and he's right. We're not poor. All the gold is mined here. The timber comes from here. The cocoa, lots of food. I mean, did you know that we're also one of the biggest producers of sweet potato?
Oh, really?
Even the orange flesh, the ones that they eat in the States, a lot of it come from here. So how can you call us poor?
Sweet potato.
Yes, sweet potato. There's two types. There's the purple color, and then there's the other one that I think is more popular. They use it for the pies and things like that. They grow all of that here and export it.
Wow.
and then they call us poor. Like, we need to come back and change all of that.
No, but you see, what it is it's kind of different because, okay, right now, what would you tell anybody that is trying to force themselves to come to the West?
That's, from Ghana to the West.
Yeah.
It's, that's a bigger challenge, eh? It's a bigger challenge because those people are very hard to convince. And it takes a process. It's a process of unlearning a lot of things that they have learned, wrong information that they've been given. So I think, you may have to let them go and experience it for themselves. It's very difficult to change their minds.
On that note, can you say if somebody is in Ghana right now and they say there are no jobs, can you say the person is right?
That there are no jobs in Ghana?
Mm-hmm.
I have come to learn that the Ghana economy is not the same as the economies in the West.
So the economies why are we learning all that?
Why aren't we?
Why are we learning the way the West do their stuff, the way the West economy is? Why are we, if it's not the same, why are we doing that?
Because Mr. Murphy, it's taught in our schools. Our school systems, in my opinion, should be quashed. It has very little relevance to actually impacting. Yes, because it's predicated on the Western system. And so that's what I'm saying. If somebody is bent on going, it's very difficult to change their minds. Like in a span of one conversation, you can't.
All right. So let me say this: if somebody is trying to go, they come for you for advice, and you said, sister, there are no jobs. I want to leave. What would you tell them?
I will tell them that the best way to change their financial situation in Ghana is not to look for a job, but to start a small business. And I will sort of encourage them to give it a try. You don't believe in Ghana. You don't think there are any jobs in Ghana. Why don't you try start a small business and see? Rather than looking for a job, start a business.
How did they do the business with no capital? Because most of us came here, we wanted the capital to go back, and 20 years we are still here. So how do you tell them, like, hey, I don't have any capital, my background, nobody, I'm not from money. So you telling me go do a small business, how do I start?
Again, all the information is from the West, so you don't actually see the realities on the ground. Do you know Africa is probably the last place where it's the most easiest to do a business? If I wanted to open a business right now in anywhere in the West, do you think I can put something on my head and go on the street and go sell it?
No, the police is gonna deal with you.
Do that in Africa. Do you think I can set up a table anywhere in the street corner without a permit and sell anything I want in the West?
No.
I can't do that, but you can do that in Ghana. You can do that in most places in Africa. With 100 cities, you can start a business. The schools that my kids go to, there's a lady, I buy fruits from her, so I know her. Her two kids go to the same school. You know what she sells? And her kids go to the same school as my kids. She sells fruits, just fruits, pineapples, banana, pawpaw, name it. And it's not a lot. So she has a table set up, and she, one of those kind of a step kind of thing. She arranges it very nicely. And literally she has a little bit of maybe 2 bowls of potatoes. And she makes enough from this just table to send her kids to a decent school. So you can't give me the excuse. I can accept if we don't have the information. But the excuse that I can't start a business in the West, I can understand. But even in the West now with the internet, things are changing, right? If you're really serious about doing something online, with little money, you might be able to just a lot of hard work and stuff like that. But in Africa, we have I wrote it somewhere, and I don't know, maybe one of these days I might put it in a book or whatever. Our governments really need to pay attention to this. It's one of our unique niche for improving our situation in Africa. The fact that anybody can start a business. Anybody.
Yeah.
You can put it on your head. You can go to under the tree. You can put your table under the tree. With 100 cities, you can just sell Kobe alone to start. You don't need anything fancy to start a business in Africa. There's nowhere in the world that you can do that. Nowhere. And yet we've been taught to go to school and to go beg for jobs.
All right. So let's go back to when. So you said you started like a poultry farming, right?
We're building it right now as we speak.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So that's the only. That's the first thing you started, or you're doing something else?
That's the first thing we're embarking on. So, like I said to you, we're planning to build industries here, help, because that's the solution. That's the solution.
So let's see again.
Yeah.
What I've also seen is, like you said, this lady selling fruits, doing very well, but sometimes they still come to you and say, hey, Ghana is not good. I just want to go. What do you tell them? Because I see sometimes even those that are doing well, they still think they still have to leave.
Bruh, is the misinformation, is the force that I talked about earlier. One, in a way, and please, audience, don't take me wrong, but sometimes we have to talk about the truth. On many levels, Africans were kind of asleep.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about Africans on the ground. I'm talking about Africans in leadership positions. The reason why I'm saying this is, in the West, they are nonstop working on their citizens to get their mind, working on the immigrants to get their minds. They're going to tell you America is the greatest country of all times. And you believe it because they're going to drill it in you so much that you're going to believe it to the point where, yes.
And yet,
right?
White House. I live about 25 minutes from White House, and you see homeless right in front of White House.
But do you think the average African knows that?
Yeah, just a mile away from White House projects.
You see, a mile.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not talking about
even less than White House, 20. Yeah, just like a mile.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And it's never captured on TV. They only make sure they capture the beautiful white building. And let's not be mistaken, by the way. It's the White House, Black people.
Yeah. You see homeless right in front of it.
Yeah.
That's where they sleep.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
But this is the programming I'm talking about. So Africans, our minds have not gone to the fact that we also have to equally train our citizens up to believe in the best. We're doing zero work. I know people would challenge me because, governments are always having their program, but we're doing zero work to the extent that the programs in the West.
They can challenge you all they can, but it's not like it is that people say. No. I mean, people got their own opinions. That's fine. But, you've been there. And it's not like the way people make it like, right after when you hit, like the ground, money is on the floor.
It's on the floor. You can pick it up.
Yes. You have to work very, very hard for it. And
as a Black person, yes, you also remember, Brad, if you're working against the grain as a Black person in the West, like everything is extra hard for you as a Black person because you were not meant to come there to take over. So the system is meant to keep you in a particular position so that you don't come, there's no chance for your generation to ever take control of the country. We have not paid attention to that. If we knew that or even started to pay attention, we will not take our children and ourselves into these places. We would rather help build Africa because this is the only place we can inherit.
Yeah. Because what it is when we talk of just, you having just money for yourself and just your family, yeah, I think here is fine for you. But if you really, really want to change life, you want to serve your nation,
Yes.
I call us being selfish, because all we're trying to do is just get something for ourselves and our family. That's it.
But that's because of the information we had.
Yeah, but I think some of us are still getting the information, and we are still not doing anything. We are still not doing anything.
Okay.
And I think we can do way better than that. Yeah, if you see the knowledge some of us have acquired from here, and we can put all these forces together,
yes,
we can do something.
Yes.
Wow. So we're still back to somebody coming to you say, "Hey, I want to go." That person is doing well business. Why? I think sometimes it's just mismanagement of finance. I mean, they don't really take care of their finances well.
Oh yes. I agree 100%. My husband and I, we always had a budget. We stick to it. It's changed our lives.
Well, I know you're a Dave guy, right?
Dave Ramsey, all the way. The best snowball.
That's my boy. Look,
yes,
there was a time.
It works.
There was a time this guy, a young guy, about 18-year-old, I think 19 or getting to 20, called one of Mr. Oben's show, and he said he had a question. He said I think he was supposed to go to college a year before, but he couldn't because there was no money home. But he's very bright. So the mom, after a year, was like, "Hey, I don't want you to be sitting home. I will make sure you go." But realizing the guy was like, "If I go, I think my family will not even have anything to eat." So he was calling to see what, he should do. And we're like, I said, the mom is a watch seller. It's okay. Start working with your mom. That's what Mr. Obin said.
I remember that show. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Where he told him to go do, support the mom, go into the business, start working there. Yeah.
Just 3 weeks, the guy called back and was like, "I have 5,000. I don't think I'm going to even go to school again." 3 weeks.
Why?
He said he's not going to school again. Why? Because now he's helping the mom, and to build the business. All deliveries
Oh my God!
For the estimate, he's going to make 10,000 level. And he said, "What? Look at how people were insulting him. They were throwing. They will though. In the beginning, the same thing happened to Yao too. Yao came from England selling ice kinky. They were just throwing insult. But look, those that were throwing insult now come to, "Hey, boss, can I beat him? You see?" I mean,
yeah, they will. So, it's also like people like that. Mentally they're strong, right? So, yeah.
All right. So finally, let's say, what do you have for us that we are still here planning to come home? That we can some come and they come back, and what do you have for us? Those that are still here trying to come back, it's still not happening for us.
This show, I remember when we talked about it, you said it's called a paradigm shift. And I think I may not get the correct definition of a paradigm, but it's a set of patterns or things that you've come to believe over time, through the society or whatever the case may be. And if that paradigm that you believe can shift or can be, I wouldn't even say, I can say can be corrected, because the things that we believe as Black people, a lot of it is off. It's damaging to us. If you can shift your paradigm, going back home will not be scary anymore. Remember, I always use this analogy. Were we starving before we left here to go to abroad?
No. Not at all.
Were we naked on the streets and didn't have clothes?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
I know people who lived in mansions and stuff like that.
And yet they send their
how come all of a sudden coming back home is so difficult? It's the paradigm shift.
The paradigm shift. So we need a paradigm shift.
We need a paradigm shift. The moment you get that,
we need information.
Coming home is not hard.
We need that information because look, what about somebody that right from home? I always say this, that when let's say two siblings home and somebody coming to look for their father, maybe the father is owing the person. The father will be like, hey, tell them I'm not there. The first one, that lie saying, hey, my dad is not there, is the wisest, is the most intelligent ever throughout his life. The one that will say, oh, my dad is home. You are the, like, Jimmy for the who be cried. So how do you change that? So it's like stealing is, you are smart when you steal. You see, you are smart when you are not doing things right, straight. Mm-hmm. So right from home, we've been taught how to lie.
Yes.
Then we go to school.
And it's damaging to the brain, eh?
Yes. They teach us,
very damaging.
The stuff they say, all the things that we are being taught.
It's just
school. It's demeaning our own country and putting the West atop. Right? Yes.
Why are we learning about European stuff in Africa?
Yeah, the same thing happening at our churches and all that. So how do we change that? Because what it is you go to business school, go do a business plan, do this, go get venture capital and all that. I mean, who's going to get you loan in Ghana? Even if you get loan in Ghana, it's about 30%. The person you are learning from, yes, they get a loan here for business, 1%, 2%, 3%. So it's not the same.
At all.
You see?
And I think loan doesn't work here in Africa or Ghana. I think not being here, I understand, and now that we're trying to get into business ourselves too, we've been dealing with business people and things like that. And when Mr. Obedaku says loan doesn't work the same way, it's true. I know of people whose businesses collapsed because of loans. Mm-hmm. They were doing fine when they got the
interest.
Yes.
30%.
Yes. How do you? Can't.
I mean, how are you going to pay 30% interest?
Can't.
You see?
You can't.
So it's a different thing that we have to come to realization that what we've been learning is not working up to this point. It's not. So we have to change it.
So wrong off. It's just everything. As Black people, we're, I don't know, maybe that's why God made us mentally and physically superior or tough, because when we are in the West, we're not taught about ourselves. And even in our own country, we're not taught about us. Mr. Bafi, did you know, I just found this out. Did you know that in, I think it's Botswana, I could be wrong, or not Zimbabwe, maybe Botswana. I think it's Botswana. I learned this from Wadamaya. He did a show recently with a billionaire, like massive. Did you know that from primary school, P1, up to university is paid for in Botswana?
I think it's Botswana. Yeah, it's Botswana. I think I watched that.
Why is this not? How come we don't know this? Why is this information not more readily available to Africans? Yeah. When they brought free SHS to Ghana, people thought, oh, it's like never, like something that's out of this world. Like Ghana is
and they even got allowance. No. I think even at the university level they get allowance, not like a loan, allowance. That it's not like you're paying back.
And this has been happening since the 1980s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I watched that show. Yeah,
80s.
Yeah,
I was so moved. And so when Mr. Obedaku says don't listen to the negative things about Africa, he's right, because there's so much good, but nobody's telling you about it. Yeah. You have to go out there and find it out for yourself. And when you do, you're going to have the paradigm shift. And when you have the paradigm shift, you're not going to be asking whether I should come 6 months and go. You can formulate a plan for yourself, because now there's confidence. Now there's no more fear. And the fear is not real. The fear about Africa, the fear about disease, none of it is real. If push comes to shove, with 500 CDs, I can set up a shop for myself.
Wow.
And grow it.
All right. I know you've said about I think one book about Malcolm X, and I also recommended Nkrumah books. One more book would you recommend that everyone should read that can easily change their paradigm also?
I think it's by Dr. Amos Wilson. Either Dr. Amos Wilson or Dr. John Henry Clark. It's called the I forget the name of the title.
Clark got so many books.
I have so many books. When we were coming, I spent thousands of dollars on books, just even for my kids. The Falsification of the African Consciousness is either by Dr. John Henry Clark or by Dr. Amos Wilson. One of those. I actually have it here somewhere.
All right, folks. The Falsification of what? African
Consciousness.
Consciousness. Okay.
Yes. This is what we're talking about. When you read that book, it'll make it so clear that everything they've been telling you about Africa is not true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great book. And those two people I mentioned, go and look for their materials. It will change your life.
Yeah, it looks as if our time is fast spent, and what it is our brother Charles Boateng. He said, "Now this program's turned into English. Speak Cree, please." So I promise Charles that we are going to do part 2, and it's going to be Cree. So, Madam Akuapia, we will have to bring you back again.
No problem.
Until that note, make sure you save wisely, spend intentionally, and be generous. And anytime you're going back home, don't say, "I'm going to go help them." Say, "I'm going to go serve my country." Yes. If you have that intention of going help, you are coming back. But if you have intention of going to serve, even if it's tough, you will stay in. Like our sister is hanging in there. And I know, like he's saying, I know by the time we come back next time, maybe years to come, all the companies, the plans will be going. We will be seeing those things. So this program, like I said, 2 ways that you can change your paradigm. Either you wait for an event, but the good thing is you don't have to do that. You can easily start reading books, listen to a program like this, or going to a seminar. Like I said, that's why we are going to do Paradigm Shift Seminar in January. So to be able to be part of this, you can subscribe to the Patrick Belfi YouTube channel. And we have so many people we've talked to, their experience. And, it's going to be nice for you to not wait for something to happen before you shift your paradigm, but you can do the reading yourself, or, listen to people's experience like our sister was telling us. Until that note, I will say it again. Make sure you spend wisely, save intentionally, and be generous. My name is Patrick Belfi, Paradigm Shift. See you guys later.